So today, my friend and colleague, Dr. Lori Nadell, has agreed to interview me for this summit. So thank you.
My pleasure, Dr. Erica. I'm so glad you invited me to do this, and it's my honor. She is a love mentor and relationship healer, helping men and women, individuals and couples, gay and straight, heal their bodies and their relationships through love. She's a licensed mental health counselor, licensed marriage therapist, diplomate on the Academy of Integrative Pain Management, licensed massage therapist, certified body-oriented psychotherapist, board-certified sex therapist, and personal life and health wellness coach. A former professor of health and physical education for 25 years, Dr. Erica taught stress management, holistic health, wellness, physical fitness, yoga, diet, meditation, and the mind-body-spirit connection decades before health awareness became more mainstream. She helps her clients reawaken their passion and love for life, for their body, and for each other. Feeling accepted, appreciated, and acknowledged for their own unique and special gifts, her clients develop a renewed ability to appreciate and love their bodies, pay attention to subtle messages, and facilitate their natural healing potential. Check out her Healing Through Love seminars, Love Touch Heal, videos, audios, and books, and her Love Lessons for the Soul 30-Day Love Challenge. I have personally taken Dr. Erica's 30-Day Love Challenge, and I can tell you it is the most remarkable online program I have ever participated in. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Truly, you will never look at love the same way again. So if you have a chance, please sign up for the 30-Day Love Challenge. You really will get so much out of it. You can contact Dr. Erica at drericagoodstone.com and request your complimentary Love Mastery session.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
My pleasure. And truly, I am a big fan of your 30-Day Love Challenge. I tell people about it all the time, and I can't wait until you offer it again so I can send a link to everybody who I think can benefit from it.
Thank you. It's been put on hold for a little while I'm working on this summit, which is exciting for me.
The summits you've been producing are amazing. So before we kind of get into the summit, can you tell us a little bit about your background and education and what led you to focus on the mind-body-spirit connection leading to the Miraculous Healing Masterclass Summit?
Well, I started out teaching in elementary school very briefly, and it wasn't for me. I had students hanging from the closet, literally hanging in the wardrobe. I wasn't the best disciplinarian. So a group of us, we also had a very difficult principal. She was like really a dictator, and we had no walls between the classes, an experimental school. So a group of us quit together in January, 6 months later, and that started a process. I worked at a recording company, and I loved that. I really would have liked to do communication work, but my uncle gave me a lecture and said, go back to teaching. It's good for a woman. So I went back to teaching, and I taught in an elementary school while I was getting a degree, a master's degree in health and physical education, because I used to go out every afternoon working at this recording company. As soon as I was finished, I'd go play tennis. And I realized that I loved sports, and if I was teaching that, I'd be really happy. So I got into teaching sports. I taught in the high school for 5 years, and I wasn't thrilled there because it was really very rigid. And some of the women I worked with came from the Army, and they gave zeros, and kids would sit there frightened. It wasn't really me. And so I wanted to teach in college. I taught part-time at one of the local colleges, and I loved it. I loved the connection with other people, and I loved it. There was a freedom to it. You taught the subject. You didn't have to be a disciplinarian. And so I realized I had to get into a doctoral program in order to get a full-time college teaching position. So someone told me about this program at New York University in human sexuality, marriage, and family living, and I sort of fell into it, signed up, and I never knew what I was going to really do with it, but I became a therapist, sex therapist, and a marriage and family therapist, and at the same time teaching health and physical education. I had all kinds of aches and pains. So I went to receive lots of different body therapy treatments. It was an era when we had all this consciousness raising courses. So I took all these courses. I connected to the spirituality. I studied with Guru Mai and many other spiritual healers. So it was just building that understanding of the mind-body-spirit connection. And then right before my dissertation orals, I came across my mentor and teacher, Alana Rubenfeld, who put together the mind, body with touch. She did this elaborate, which looked miraculous, healing on someone who got in touch with an issue. She had pneumonia and she started coughing, and it became so obvious when Alana asked her, who's sitting on your chest, became obvious that it was the people in her life, her mother, her husband, that were suppressing her, and that's what led to this illness or was connected to it. So I was fascinated, and I didn't stop studying for years, and I still continue to learn.
That's fascinating. So how do you help your clients to heal?
Well, I help them to, and it's not a simple formula. Nowadays, they have a lot of simple formulas to, follow this procedure. I don't want to name the different procedures, but it's all formulaic, and I just can't work that way.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because the other day someone sent me a chart of the body, and it had this little map of, this part of the body is this emotion, and I didn't know what to say, because I find those things horrifying. Everyone's body is unique, and everybody's connection between the unconscious and the symptom is different. And
absolutely,
I think what you're saying is it cannot be emphasized enough, because there's no map that works for everybody.
Absolutely not. And so I listen to people. So the best therapist is someone with lots of experience, personal life experience, so you understand the emotions, you've felt them, and also the training in how to cope with different aspects. Like I've had couples where I work with them, I do body therapy, but it's gentle body therapy. They don't get undressed. It's respectful. Sometimes it's just the energy work if someone really doesn't want touch, but it's gentle, and it helps the person to let go, to open up. And I've had couples where, as long as they've been through the anger, they're not in a state of anger with each other. They're okay with each other, but there's still issues. One person is on the table, I'm holding their head, and the partner is holding their feet, helping them to relax, listening to as they open up about something deep that the partner never understood. And I've had a partner kiss their feet, or if the person is at the head, kiss the partner's head. They get this deep connection and deep understanding. And even without the touch therapy, just that awareness of respect for each person and helping each one to understand the deeper meaning of why they're doing whatever they're doing, even if they cheated, even if they did something that was betrayal. There's a reason, there's a lifestyle, there's something from their childhood. And the more that both people can understand, the more they can reach that state of forgiveness and get back to growth and love.
So when you say that many diseases and relationship problems develop because we're disconnected from our body, would this be an example of what you're referring to?
Well, our emotions are stored in our body, not only in the amygdala. I was going to talk about this later, but it's a good point to talk about it, that I love the way science is catching up to what body psychotherapy people have known for decades, or maybe centuries. In Asian culture and Indian culture, they've known about the chakras, the energy centers, and the meridians from Asian culture, that so much is stored in the body, but now we have some scientific understanding of it. So the brain has a certain number of neurons. That has most of the neurons, but the gut has 500 million neurons, and that's 5 times more than the spinal column, which has 100 million. And the gut also has 50% of the dopamine floating around, and 90 to 95% of the serotonin, plus the stress hormones and neurotransmitters, all circulating in the gut. So if our gut is tight, they call it the second brain. If you're holding tension there, it causes all kinds of problems, from sexual problems, where impotence and other problems, but it also causes emotional problems. You're blocking the serotonin, you're blocking the dopamine, which has to do with novelty and excitement and enjoying life. And there's a vagus nerve that goes up to the brain, and then memories are stored in the amygdala. Also, the heart has 5,000 times the magnetism of the brain. So each one of these parts, if you separate it and you're just all heart, but you're not dealing with the underlying emotions, you're going to have different problems. And if you're just dealing with those emotions and not connecting to your brain, you're going to have problems. So the touch therapy helps people to balance all of that, helps the flow, so that we are functioning, fully, not compartmentalizing.
So if somebody's body is in pain or they don't like how it looks or feels, how can they begin to love their body?
Well, one of my mentors a long time ago, Dr. Alexander Lowen, who created bioenergetic analysis,
Yes.
he talked about this. He made this statement: when you feel pain, it means you're alive. So instead of pushing it away and being annoyed by it, recognize it. Like, I don't like to take pain medication to suppress pain unless it's severe. When I had a back issue where I was lying on the floor, I couldn't even sit up, I finally was able to, I used a little reflexology on my hands, and I had a heater nearby. I got it on my back. I was never so happy to get to a hospital and get some medication. So in severe cases, absolutely. But if I have aches and pains, I don't really want to take medication, because then it's going to suppress it and I won't know what's going on in my body. And I'd like to know and find a way to heal it naturally if I can.
So what is the best diet for health and well-being that you can recommend? I mean, there are a lot of crazy diets out there, and the British Psychiatric Association has a condition called orthorexia, and orthorexia is what they call an unhealthy obsession with diet, food, and exercise. And
Uh,
according to the British, we Americans are an orthorexic nation. What's really the best approach for us? What's a healthy balance without becoming upset? I know so many people who you meet them for the first time, and the first thing they tell you about are their stupid food obsessions, and they're eating this and they're not eating that, and they just go, and only Americans do this. People from other countries don't do this. So what is a healthy, balanced approach to diet and exercise?
Well, many of the people speaking on this summit are sharing information that really helps you to understand it. Like one person, Andy Roman, has been a therapist at the Hippocrates Institute for decades, and he talks about a connection between mind, body, and spirit. That's really what it takes to heal. But the diet issue, this is not everybody's fault, because there are so many people promoting the
Right.
best diet, the keto diet and the Mediterranean diet. But I recently had a hair analysis. So that shows you, it's obvious what chemicals are out of balance in your body. And the diet that would help me to balance my chemicals is very different from the diet that you might need for your chemical makeup. And the chemistry is just one piece of the puzzle. It's also your muscle tone, your genetics, your exercise habits, your lifestyle, the foods from your family ancestry, and where you grew up, what part of the world your relatives grew up in affects you, your DNA. There's so much that you can't choose one particular diet plan for everybody. But what I say is to really eat foods and observe how you feel afterwards, a half hour, an hour later, the following morning. Don't ignore the way you're feeling, connected to what you've been eating. And then maybe speak with a nutritionist or someone who does hair analysis, or get your blood tests. Find out what is going on in your body. Another person that's on the summit talks about the Ayurveda lifestyle. Ayurveda is ancient from India, and they talk about the constitutional types that we have. There's 3 different types, and there's blends of the types. So if you have one kind of constitution, one diet is better for you than another person. So you really need to know yourself. Just like you talk about forgiving yourself, it's the same thing. It's understanding yourself, and we are different from each other. I wanted to add one more thing, that it's
Okay,
really important to enjoy the food.
I think
If you're,
so.
if you're going on a diet because you think this one is going to be good for me and you're not enjoying anything you're eating, you're not allowing the salivation and everything to work well. The acids won't flow as well in your body. You need to enjoy food. That's why we have saliva, and we have a whole mechanism that works. So
Absolutely.
choose the foods you enjoy, but if you have to let something go like gluten, then find a way to make the food without that. Something similar that gives you the same sense of joy.
And are there any exercises you recommend that can help people get the quickest results?
And that's another issue. We don't get out of shape quickly, so why do we think we should get into shape quickly? And if you look at any athletes, they did not work just a few hours to get to some top level. You really need to be consistent, but it doesn't have to be strenuous. It depends on what your goal is. If your goal is for health, it could even be 15 minutes at a time, a few times a week. I saw when I taught health and physical education, I taught a gymnastics class with people jogging and using weights once a week. They had a class for an hour and a half. Part of the time they went to the locker room and changed, so maybe it was only an hour. And they did jogging and they used the weights, and they would improve. Every week they improved, and they only did it once a week. I never
That's
did a
great.
study on it, but I saw the difference. So I know, and the same with yoga and gymnastics. They came once a week, they didn't practice anywhere else, and they improved. So our theories about how many times we have to do it are not all accurate. There are different
Uh,
people teaching programs and setting that up.
I think, it's different again. Every body, I know when I do a lot of vigorous exercise, the next day my mind may want to go out and exercise, but my body needs to rest. And, when I was a windsurfer for 20 years, and I would find that after a really, really hard day on the water, I might mentally want to go out on the water, but my body, my muscles really needed time to recover. So it's important to pace ourselves. And in terms of pacing ourselves, you're talking about touching and being touched. Is there a balance between touching and being touched? Some people don't like to be touched. Some people need more. Some people like to touch more and like to be touched more. What's a healthy ratio where it doesn't become overwhelming or obsessive?
That's a great question. I don't know if there's a healthy ratio. It's really individual. If 2 people that don't like to touch, and it comes from your background, your training, if you weren't touched much. But I have to say, just to backtrack, that there was a study done of various societies, and what was discovered many years ago in the 1960s, that societies that did not touch and that did not allow premarital sex, so they had issues with touch and with sex, they were more violent. And the societies that had touched much more freely and allowed sexuality at young ages, both those societies were less violent and more loving. So touch, it stimulates. There's one gene that can only be turned on through gentle touch. And when I talk about touch, I'm talking about gentle touch, not abusive and harsh touch. But touch, just by touching a baby, you know that a mother or father can soothe that child sometimes instantly, just with a little touch or a little hug. And you know that if you touch a pet and you're just petting your animal, they've done studies on it. Your heart rate gets lower, depression is lower. There's so much to
No.
touch. And
Um,
touch also helps us to get into different brain waves. So if we're in these beta waves and anxious, a little touch can get us down to alpha state and even theta state and waves. brain waves, that can be the source of healing. That's the state we get into when we're connected with, I don't know, the
Yeah.
universal energy, and we can heal.
So why is mindfulness, meditation, prayer, and gratitude important in the healing process?
Well, mindfulness, if you have pain somewhere and you become aware of that pain and focus on it and allow it to be there and maybe seek the message that it's sending you, it can help to heal. I have an example. I took a training when I was in Connecticut. It was called Chundo Sunbup. It was shortly after I had injured my back, and I saw this training. It was like a Qigong yoga combination from Korea. And there was a lady who had come from Australia who was running this training, and she was on crutches. So I asked her, it's making noise right now. I asked her
Sorry.
if she, I asked this lady what happened to her. Was there some issue she was dealing with? And what she said is that when she came to America, she kept saying, I can't get my footing in America. And so the next thing she did was break her foot. And I have seen that over and over. If you're saying I can't stomach it, you may develop stomach problems. If you say he's a pain in the neck, you may have a neck that's hurting. And it's really connected. Why that part of the body and not another part? So the mindfulness is really important. The gratitude, if we can be grateful for what we have instead of focusing on what we don't have, that's huge. So maybe your hip is hurting and you're getting older and you have more aches and pains. If you can be grateful for your family, your friends, your work, the money you have, the lifestyle you have, and forgive your body for maybe not being as vibrant as maybe it once was. That's the kind of attitude to have. The other part, and I don't remember the pieces of the question, but the other part that's important is to keep learning and keep reaching out for help. There are people, I have a friend who's 88 going on 89. She is the healthiest person I know. She had a hip replacement, not a hip replacement, she broke her hip, and a doctor put a piece of metal in there that was too big, and it was hurting her for a year and a half. She managed. She never complained, but it hurt. And then she found a doctor who took that piece out, put a new piece in, and she left the doctor in New York City, took the bus, went home, and has been fine ever since. This is right after an operation like that. She is so healthy. She eats well. She's slender. She has a good attitude. She's spiritually connected. So I know there's so much that's possible. And that's why I created the Miraculous Healing Summit, because I know what's possible. I've heard so much already I attended the live event, The Truth About Cancer, twice, the one in Dallas and the one in Orlando. I've watched the autoimmune series called Betrayal, and that was talking about natural remedies for different autoimmune diseases, and many people on the summit have healed from different diseases that they were told it's incurable. They were told, go home, get your affairs in order, and they're thriving decades later. So it's possible for all of us. But what I have found is that, just as you said, we're not the same. And each person speaking on this summit, and anyone who has healed, had to find their own path to healing, because we also have emotional issues that need to be worked out. That if we get down to the real cause of whatever led to this ailment, we can begin the healing process. And the other piece, just like I said about exercise, healing also takes time. Natural healing does not happen usually instantly. It usually takes time. It took time to develop whatever's wrong with us, and it takes time to heal. And we have to be willing to do what it takes to help us heal.
And that's where that gift of patience comes in, right?
And it's
That
certainly
it
hard
takes.
with your own body, and if you go to a medical doctor and they see that you're not better yet, they could say, warn you, you better do this. And people on this summit said no, and they chose, I'm going to do it my own way, which is hard. You have to be courageous.
Well, you have to be courageous. You have to be vigilant. You have to be disciplined. And, nothing works all the time for everybody, not aspirin, not chemo, not gluten-free, not fat-free. I mean, everybody is different. And I think that that's important because a lot of people in this field think that their approach is the approach that's going to work for everybody. You have to do your own research, you have to do your own legwork, and you have to keep going until you find what works. I also know that some people have a superhuman constitution and they're just, biogenetically great healers naturally. And some of us have to work at it a little bit harder. And again, that's where the gift of patience comes in, and all of the tools that you're teaching people here and all of the tools that the masters of healers, the master healers are teaching people here. And if you get one tip from one or two people from the Miraculous Healing Summit here, I think you'll find that it helps to open the way for you to lead a more magical life. So Dr. Erica, can you tell us about your Heal Me Please video free gift and how viewers can contact you?
Okay, I'm putting that on the page so that they can link to it. It's really something, I have a poem at the beginning. It's like, I don't remember it exactly, but it's like, heal me please, why me, why this, why now? And that's the attitude we tend to have. Why me? Why did this have to happen? Instead of saying, why not me?
Why not me, right.
Because all of us are prone to something happening. We're human. It's a human experience. And our bodies break down and we have injuries and ailments. I've seen it. I have a group, 365 miles in 365 days that I've been in. And some of the people, and it's only a small group, some of the people are gung-ho and they're exercising and I'm saying, wow, I can't do as much as they're doing. The next thing they have an injury and they're tied up for weeks. And I've seen that over and over again. It happens to everybody. So instead of bemoaning your fate, just accept it. Maybe your body's telling you it's time to slow down and breathe and smell the roses and focus on your life again. So I have a short video about healing.
Sounds great. And you can contact Dr. Erica. How can people find you?
At drericagoodstone.com. And I hope that you're enjoying the summit. And please write to me at drerica@drericawellness.com with any of your comments or concerns. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. And thank you, Dr. Laurie, for interviewing me today.
Oh, that's my honor and my privilege, Dr. Erica. I'm always, I've been referring people to Dr. Erica for years. If you go to Huffington Post, you can see my story. Before there was Amy Schumer, there was Dr. Erica. She's a brilliant sex therapist, and she's helped so many people along the way, so many areas of mind-body healing. It's truly a gift to know you, Dr. Erica. Thank you.
And thank you, too.